So today we're going to be taking a look at what a high investment Xilonen looks like with her signature weapon. So stats wise, she is level 79 with her peak patrol song at level 90. So she's carrying 3,000 defense here, which is roughly the maximum that you can achieve while remaining in her weapon's elemental damage bonus cap. This scales in a way so that she has a maximum of 25.6% elemental damage bonus increase that can be had, and at 1,000 defense, that caps out 8 times 3, 24. So you can have a roughly around 3,000 defense while kind of staying in that limit. So to maximize her damage, you are going to really want to focus on having crit rate, crit damage, and geo damage bonus after you reach that 3,000 defense threshold. While carrying her signature weapon, you are going to want to try and have 2 defense pieces in the set, whether that be a sand, a goblet, or a circlet. You're going to want to try and carry 2 of those as well at this level to kind of get to that 3,000 defense threshold. Currently, her crit rate is 45, which is not the greatest, and her crit damage is 105, which is also not the greatest. I'm taking 100% energy recharge on her. I have very, very little energy recharge on her artifacts, so we won't be worried about that, and I am not running her with any geo damage bonus. So, when we get into things here a little bit, she is taking the Scroll of the Hero of the Cinder City set, and this essentially allows her to get even more elemental damage bonus when any character triggers a reaction related to their elemental type, even if that's crystallize, so she can be ran in mono geo teams, or if it's some type of elemental damage, vaporize, melt, etc., etc. So she only boosts cryo, pyro, electro, and hydro through her elemental skill. So those are going to be the teams that she mostly wants to be ran in, as well as a geo team. So looking at constellations here, she is C0 right now, but C2 is her most valuable constellation as it provides additional buffs for each different elemental type here. You kind of get to see these ratios and these numbers here as just even more damage for the characters. I'm currently running her on a defense percent sands and goblet with that crit rate circlet to kind of balance things out a little bit, because I already have achieved that 3,000 defense threshold. Alternatively, if you are there, you could run a defense circlet and a defense sands with a geo damage goblet, and kind of alternate teams. Her kit is currently aimed at more of a sub-DPS playstyle while being a damage buffer at the same time. So for talents, she is 686, kind of to keep a nice balance of healing and damage. Each portion of her kit scales with defense as long as she is in her Night Soul Blessing state, which is triggered by her elemental skill. And that includes normal attacks, elemental skill damage, and burst damage and healing. With her normal attack here, you're not going to typically want to be normal attacking or doing any type of charged attacking outside of her Night Soul Blessing state, but any of the attacks that you use to proc her source samples while she is in her elemental skill, this does scale with defense percent, and its damage does increase as you level it up. So with her elemental skill here, it does an initial rush damage hit, scales off of defense percent, and the only benefit to leveling it up is that initial defense percent and the elemental resistance decrease. That's going to be the really key part here. There's no way to extend the duration of this or increase her Night Soul point gain other than through, external sources. You're not able to adjust it via skills. So with her burst, it also scales purely off of defense percent. I do not have it leveled here because I don't have her geared towards teams that will utilize the follow-up beat damage that is triggered when she has less than 2 source samples. Increase your burst skill if you plan to utilize her, more for damage in those types of teams where you have less than 2 source samples. So I would, recommend that as well. It also does increase her healing as well. It's just not necessary for me here. So for her team comp, many guys will recommend that she carries, a decent amount of elemental recharge, but through this team composition, I've never once had, not had her burst up on rotation. I'm going to be running no DPS in this team and no hyper carries. Yelan's going to act as a sub DPS for, anybody else's auto attack strikes. Chiori is going to act as kind of the on-field, but more as a sub-DPS with minimal damage, just rotating into her quick because she has the Husk of Opulent Dreams set on her. Furina is going to act as another sub-DPS and damage buffer with her burst, and Xilonen acts as a buffer or on-field character in that sense. So Xilonen benefits this team a lot by providing these fast instances of team-wide healing, while Furina has her elemental skill damaging enemies and burst active, which will create these stacks of fanfare points to boost overall damage just by that constant depletion and gain of health. So Yelan is in this place for that added damage and the Hydro Elemental resistance, which is increasing overwide team-wide health by 25%, which helps Furina. And Chiori is in place for Geo Resonance, which means that when any character is shielded, it's essentially going to be increasing shield strength, but it's also going to be increasing elemental resistance shred. So this just even more, we're just compounding it here. And all elemental damage is boosted even further, through these elemental reactions through Xilonen's signature, which also, is very nice because she boosts elemental resistance shred by herself. So you're just getting a ton of elemental damage boosts and a ton of elemental resistance shred. So first, I'm going to be showcasing them on the Yumkasaur. Then we're going to go into the signature talent domain for her or artifact domain, and then it's going to be followed by Abyss Floor 12. In her artifact domain here, we're not going to be getting any benefits from the domain because it's purely around pyro-related reactions. So, we're not going to see any sort of Night Soul Blessing burst, damage, increase, or anything like that. So hopping in here, we're going to do the same type of rotation that we did on the Yumkasaur, essentially by bringing in Xilonen first, being able to gain those source sample points so that immediately our res shred is increased. So as you can see there, it got procced. Then we're going to switch into Chiori. And then Furina. Now, Xilonen's ult will be up after this skill here. Or barely. Oops. Now, since the characters are low on HP, we're going to be getting those fanfare stack points. And pretty consistently, I've been able to reach maximum fanfare, so all damage boosted is wonderful. And Xilonen is still healing the team here. Starting with Xilonen here, we're going to be bringing her right onto the field in the beginning. That way we can start with her source samples and increase the initial elemental damage shred. So we're just going to bring her up here once this Yumkasaur wakes up. We're going to immediately go into her skill, get that res shred, switch into Yelan, get this procced. We're going to switch into Chiori so we can utilize Husk of Opulent Dreams as fast as possible. Then we bring Furina in. So this is going to allow even more additional damage, bringing back into Xilonen's skill, throwing down her burst, and now we go to Furina's ult. This is going to boost all overall damage by quite a bit here. Just being able to gain those fanfare stack points. We should be able to get her out to maximum fanfare in just a second here. There we go. So we're just seeing huge numbers out of Xilonen, even though she isn't really geared towards damage, which is pretty nice. Alright, so this is the second half of floor 12 here, and on the first half, I just totally forgot to bring any Hydro characters, so that's why you're not going to see much time on here, but this side is going to be mostly single-target enemies that we kind of have to take on here. There is no side that's really better for Geo-damage characters, but we'll just kind of give it a run here in this mono-Hydro, mono-Geo team, and we'll see how it goes. I forgot about this. Oh, Lord. Well, it'll be passable. still use Furina here. Get the buff. He's got particles for Furina. It'll still drain health, but it'll be interesting. Well, that, I guess, wasn't too bad, but floor 1 kind of screwed me over with the time there, and then forgetting to take anything other than Hydro was a little rough. So I totally forgot that I have to record this, so we're going to be just hopping right in here to Chamber 2. Alright, we'll build up that stack there against Magukenki. This is going to be a little bit tricky because he moves around so much. Alright. Looks like our shield held up there, which is nice. See how we're not doing any damage to him here? We're going to cancel that damage with this ultimate here. Pretty fast clear. Alright, so this is going to be the highlight here in Chamber 3. We're really going to be able to see how much damage she does against a single target. Still going to be kind of on-fielding Shiori a little bit, but still trying to avoid, you know, keeping her on too much because of that husk set there. So overall, I mean, Xilonen's providing a great amount of healing for the team, especially with Furina in the mix. So let's get it started. And there you have it. Thank you guys very much for watching today. If there's any questions about Xilonen or how her kit operates, feel free to, ask any questions in the comments below. I'm going to link a video to kind of my more in-depth beginner's guide to her, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.